Been called a disappointing and sad day for football in the country as the fallout from the standoff between Safa and Banyana Banyana continues. South Africa's final World Cup preparations are in limbo following a shambolic handling of player grievances by the association. eNCA sports reporter Hloni Mtimkulu spoke to administrators who believe Sunday scenes at the Tsakane Stadium were a culmination of years of turbulence and a lack of care for women's football in particular.
Just under a year ago, they were the toast of the town, celebrating being crowned African champions and qualifying for a World Cup that now has some throwing accusing words at the team. But those with insight into the team don't blame Banyana Banyana players for bringing their grievances against their governing body to light.
When players, especially the women's players, stand up and complain, then we really have to ask questions, because normally they just keep quiet and carry on and don't make a noise. But there needs to be some kind of investigation as to why did this happen.
As women in the industry and as women in sport, we have a right to fight for what we believe we deserve. We have a right to fight against injustice. We have a right to fight against non-progression and moving forward. And we cannot achieve that if every time I stand up for myself, I'm going to be made into a villain, and I'm going to be made to feel that I don't have a voice.
For Hilton Smith, a former team coach and manager of the national team, some of the long-standing issues could have been avoided with better planning.
If I can compare it to a pressure cooker on the stove, if it's not attended, it's going to explode, and I think that's what happened. This group of players that are there now are highly educated, degreed players. Many of them are playing professional football overseas, so they are a different kettle of fish and compared to players before. And there's always been problems when it comes to contracts and bonuses. It always seems to be left to the end, and it's the same with Bafana, it's not just Banyana.
While FIFA will pay players directly for appearing at the World Cup, there is also a call for clarity on how players will be compensated by the local body.
But again, when it comes to leadership, let's have transparency. You cannot come to me and offer me something that I don't know what it is, or throw a figure out there and not understand what it is. The transparency is important.
But Banyana Banyana's fight to be heard is not unique.
I go back to looking at the most successful women's football team in the world, which is the US ladies. And they had to take a stand. They had to go against their FA and take a stand and say, this is what we want, this is what we deserve, this is what we have brought to the table. So why are we not being given that, or why are we not being treated equally?
Meanwhile, as the standoff plays out, Banyana Banyana's Sasol-sponsored send-off event has been postponed until further notice. Hloni Mtimkulu, Germiston.